Okay, welcome everybody to the last class of the July Summer Smoothies and Salads series. I am Gail Schorsch, founder and director of Bronx Eats, and I'm so pleased that you've chosen to spend part of your evening with us tonight. It's very nice to see so many old regular faces and also some new people. Welcome everybody. Food is a great reason to get together, and Bronx Eats is here to offer you healthy, traditional, plant-based foods that you know and love, and also to introduce to you some dishes that you may not have thought to try. I like to say small steps towards a healthier plant-based diet will build on itself. And I just learned a great new expression which I want to share with you. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. So let's put some attention on Chef Donald's recipe and have in mind to repeat it for ourselves and for our families, and to treat ourselves to the beautiful foods which nature has to offer. When we come together for events like this, we send a message to ourselves and to others that our health matters, and that we value our time together in community, and that we value our local cooks and chefs, and that we're going to take care of ourselves on a personal and a community level. So thank you for showing up for yourselves and for this community. Also, thank you to Giselle Payne, who organized all of the promotional material for this 3-week series. A few housekeeping notes. We are recording this session. You can ask questions directly, or if you prefer to use the chat box to ask your questions, that's totally fine. Also, it really makes it more personal and connected if you can turn on your video. Your presence is definitely important to us, and it makes it feel more like a community and a family. This is a class, but it's also a chance to share with and learn from each other face to face. So please turn on your videos if possible. And now let me introduce Chef Donald, who we are so honored to have here tonight. First of all, congratulations. Chef Donald literally just shared with me that he is the new executive chef for Juilliard. He started 2 weeks ago, and he is going to be in charge of their food court, which offers 7 different options and is obviously just a tremendous opportunity for him. And I am not surprised in the least that they had such great taste to offer that position to him. Chef Donald has been an executive chef for over 25 years. He graduated from Johnson & Wales University in Providence, Rhode Island, where he received his associate's degree in culinary arts. He has worked in 4-star restaurants all around New York City, including 21 Club, Montrachet, the River Cafe, and Metro Cafe. He trained with renowned celebrity chefs such as David Burke, Michael LaMonaco, Drew Nieporent, Alan Salehack, Jeffrey Zakarian, and the late, great Patrick Clark. He has built an outstanding reputation within the food industry as an expert in nutritional-based gourmet menu planning and high-volume food production. He also manages his own private chef business called Creative Cuisine Management, and works as a culinary arts instructor, teaching farm-to-table cooking to young adults and to residents who are afflicted with mental illness and substance abuse. He works with the Sylvia Center and Keys to Abundant Life after-school programs. So welcome, Chef Donald. We're thrilled to have you again. And I'm going to find a way to mute participants, and you are free to take it away. Oh, except you need to now unmute yourself. I apologize.
Awesome. Thank you for that tremendous introduction. I'm also honored to be here once again. This is my 2nd session teaching a healthy class. And today we're going to be doing one of my favorite recipes, actually. It's a kale and caramelized pear salad with a roasted sweet potato dressing. I came up with the dressing because I had sweet potatoes left over. I was like, what can I do with these leftover sweet potatoes? And I saw some kale in there, I saw some pears in there, I had some sesame seeds that I decided to toast up. And I said, why don't I just make it into a dressing with some apple cider vinegar, a little bit of nutmeg, and lo and behold, it came out fantastic, and I've been making it ever since. So I'm going to share this recipe with you guys and hope you enjoy it as well. So today the ingredients for the kale salad is a bunch of fresh kale, okay, which I have here already washed. You see, it's already washed. I'm going to show you how to pick kale. Okay, I have a pear. I also have some broccoli, which I'm going to actually roast. I actually blanched it already. I already roasted off my sweet potato. Nice small sweet potato. I roasted it with a little olive oil, a pinch of salt, 350 degrees for about 30 minutes. So the flesh is nice and soft. I'm going to peel it. I'm going to add it to my blender with a couple of ingredients, and it's going to make a nice dressing for you.
Chef Donald, we are hearing a little bit of an echo, and I'm wondering if maybe it would be enough just to see your cutting board and not have the other video on, the other camera on. What do you think?
Okay, I can try that. How's that?
Oh,
There's still an echo.
there's a little bit of an echo.
Yeah. Oh, let's move forward.
Sounds
So
good.
when I start using the cutting board, I'll angle the camera down. No problem.
But I still see your other camera on. I think that might be the issue. There are two cameras you have
I
going.
actually turned it off. Let me see. All right, how's that?
Oh, that's
Is that
perfect.
better?
That's great.
Much better. Okay.
Much better. Thank you.
We'll go with one camera today.
One camera's great.
All right, so the ingredients are fresh kale, a pear. I'm using a Bartlett pear today. A fresh bunch of broccoli, some extra virgin olive oil. We're going to use that for roasting our broccoli and sauteing our pears.
Okay, so we're gonna maybe want to switch to the food rather than your face, since we only have one camera. So
Yeah,
that people can
that's
see
not a
somebody
problem.
saying they can't see what you're cooking and they'd like to see what you're cooking.
Okay, yeah, I'll angle it towards the stove. Okay, we have dried cranberries, toasted pumpkin seeds, which are also called pepitas. Optional, we can add crumbled gorgonzola cheese, which is one of my favorites. And we're going to combine all of those ingredients in a bowl. And then for our dressing, the roasted sweet potato dressing is a roasted sweet potato, which I showed you. I'm going to peel it. We can use either honey or brown sugar. I'm going to opt to use honey today. Some freshly grated nutmeg, some freshly grated ginger, some apple cider or apple juice, some white wine vinegar. You can use a little bit of lemon juice or orange juice or both. It depends on your preference. Extra virgin olive oil as well for the dressing. We're going to combine all of that in a blender until it's nice and smooth, and we're going to drizzle that over the salad. Then we're going to taste it, and hope you like it. All right, so first and foremost, I already blanched my broccoli.
Can you tell people a little bit about how you do that? How did you do that?
Absolutely. So blanching broccoli, you want to get a pot of boiling water with a good amount of salt. You want your salt to taste, you want your water to taste like the ocean. Because what that's going to do is that's going to season your broccoli. You're going to blanch your broccoli for 10 seconds. Basically, you just want the broccoli to get that hardness off of it. You want it to still be nice, bright, and vibrant green. So if you see my broccoli, it's vibrant green, and we want to keep it that way. If you try to roast broccoli without blanching it, it turns brown. And that doesn't look nice, especially in a salad. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a little bit of salt, pepper, and a little olive oil. I'm gonna pop this in the oven for 5 minutes, and it's gonna crisp up nice. And then we're just gonna cut off the flowerets and we're gonna toss it into our salad. And then while that's in the oven, I'm going to peel and cut my pear into eighths. I'm gonna show you how to do that as well. And then we're gonna caramelize it in a pan with a little bit of olive oil. So let's start with the broccoli. So I'm gonna put my broccoli in a bowl.
So again, for people who came a little bit late, if you want to see just Chef Donald's screen, you can go to his box and click on the 3 dots in the top corner and pin his video, and then that screen will show up the largest.
I'm gonna add a pinch of salt. And remember, there was already salt in the water, so we don't need to add too much more salt to the surface.
Chef Donald, can you push your cutting board a little bit closer to the camera?
Sure. Let's see.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna add a little pepper. And then we're gonna add some extra virgin. Doesn't need much, just enough to coat. I'm going to toss it all together. Your hands are the best tool in the kitchen. So we want that coated with the salt, with the pepper, with the olive oil. And then I'm gonna put it on the same pan that I baked the sweet potato. I don't know about you, I don't like washing a lot of dishes, so I reuse.
So can we go over for a minute how you cook that sweet potato that you're going to be using in the dressing?
Yes, absolutely. So now that our broccoli is seasoned in oil, I'm gonna pop it in a 400-degree oven. About 6 minutes until it gets nice and brown. Okay, the sweet potato. What the sweet potato is, I drizzle a little bit of olive oil on. I washed the sweet potato. I drizzled a little bit of olive oil on top. I sprinkled some salt, and I put it on that same pan, and I baked it 350 degrees for 30 minutes. And then it comes out luscious. Basically, it's very easy to peel. The skin literally falls off. And it pulls out all of that natural sweetness. How easy that is? And this is what's gonna emulsify our dressing. This is what's gonna hold our dressing together. I wish you can smell it. It smells so good, so sweet, a little bit of savory from the olive oil and the salt. So while we're waiting for our broccoli to roast, I have a pan here. A pan on the stove. I'm getting it hot, medium heat, while I'm going to peel my pear. I'm just going to take a side peeler. These are the easiest peelers to use. I'm just going to take the peeler and peel the pear. Just even strokes. You want to have your thumb on the bottom, basically pulling towards the thumb. The reason why we're peeling the pear, because the skin on the Bartlett pear is really dense and tough. We don't want that in our salad. Yes, it adds fiber, but we're going to get enough fiber today from our kale. Trust me.
So Chef Donald, is it, do you have to use a Bartlett pear, or could you use a different kind of pear, or even maybe a different kind of
You
fruit?
can use a blanched pear. You can use any pear that's available in your market. Will work. Just make sure it's nice and firm. You don't want the pear to be too soft, because then when you're cooking it, it'll turn to mush. You want it to actually keep its integrity while you're cooking it. All right, so the pear. So basically, I'm going to cut straight through the top of the pear. I'm going to expose the core. I'm going to cut each side in half. And in half again. And then I'm going to take out those seeds. You want to remove this. You don't want to eat this. And then now you have nice, pretty pieces of pear spears. And then at the same time, my pan is getting nice and hot. So as soon as I finish cutting my pears, my pan will be ready. So this is one of the secrets to producing food efficiently. You always want to have the next steps or the next stage of the cooking process started. So I already put my broccoli in the oven. I already had it blanched in boiling salted water. Okay, while I'm cutting my pear, my pan is getting ready. It's getting nice and hot. My pears are cut, my pan is hot. I'm gonna discard my scraps. And I'm gonna add some olive oil to my pan.
So I just want to point out that you're adding the olive oil after the pan has already been heated a little bit. And
yes,
that's important for people to know so that you don't end up burning your oil, right?
Right. You always want to get the pan hot. And that also helps to season the pan. If anyone doesn't know what seasoning the pan is, to season a pan is to create a non-stick area. So if you had like a cast iron pan and you wanted it not to stick, you would heat it for about 30 minutes on medium heat with a layer of salt. You would remove the salt after the 30 minutes, and then you would rub it with oil. And that would create a barrier so that your food wouldn't stick. So that's a little secret for you guys. All right, so our pan is nice and hot. We're gonna put our pears in. And you hear that sizzle? That means that the pan is hot enough, the oil is hot enough, and what the olive oil and the heat from the pan is gonna do is gonna release all those natural sugars. And that's what caramelization is. And it's gonna caramelize pretty quickly. So I'm going to caramelize all sides. And it takes about 3 to 4 minutes on each side.
So Chef Donald, is it true that you can caramelize all kinds of different things, onions and apples?
Oh, absolutely. Onions are my favorite. Onions, caramelized onions with a steak is the best. What we used to do in the restaurant business, before opening the restaurant, we used to take a pan of onions and garlic and saute it and then run around the restaurant. So the whole restaurant smells like caramelized onions. So when people walk through the door, what does that smell? I want whatever that is that you're cooking. And they used to entice people to get the steak, which is the most expensive thing on the menu.
Or in our case, portobello mushrooms, right?
Right.
I've heard that if you're trying to sell a house, it's also good to caramelize some onions before people come to visit it, or an apartment.
Okay.
For the same reason that people walk in and think you're a master chef.
Right. Okay, let's check. It's been about 6 minutes. Let's check our broccoli.
If people have questions, please feel free to ask Chef Donald directly, or you can put your questions in the chat box. We like to make this interactive, so please don't be shy. And if you don't mind turning on your video, we would love that. Hi, Giselle. Giselle, by the way, is the master of all the flyers you've been seeing. So now you get to put a face with all those flyers.
All right, so I just checked the broccoli. It has 2 minutes left. And it's browning up nicely.
So how do you know it has 2 minutes? What did you just see?
Because I have the timer on my oven.
Okay.
Yeah,
And how long are they going in for?
Timers work fabulous in this business.
So the broccoli's
Yes.
been in for how long?
It's been in for 5 minutes. We've got about another minute left. Okay. The pears are starting to brown. Like I said, the pears take about 3 to 4 minutes on each side. My timer says 50 seconds on the broccoli. So we'll take it out and see what that looks like. And then once the pears are ready and the broccoli is ready, I'm going to show you how to remove the stem from the kale. It's a very simple process.
Chef Donald,
Yes.
can you explain like the differences in nutrition value between like different kales, like dinosaur kale or regular, that kind of kale?
Yeah, there's dino kale, which is a flatter kale, much more dense, has a lot more chlorophyll, a lot more vitamin B, B12, B6, than the curly kale does. Actually, there's about 10 different types of kale. You have some kale that grows wild, and some kale that grows controlled. But they're all good for you. You have baby kale. You have a kale mix that looks almost like Swiss chard. So there's many different variations of kale, and all of them are quite healthy for you. All right, so
Can they be used in this type of recipe as well, or is it just like the best type is curly kale for this recipe?
I think the curly kale and the baby kale is the best for this recipe. I think the dino kale, because of the leaves are so thick and dense, they're more readily used for like sauteing, different stews, maybe a stuffing. But they all taste about the same. All right, so. See that broccoli. That's roasted broccoli. 425 degrees for 6 minutes. Comes out beautiful.
Beautiful. So I'm just going to repeat the process. You put it in boiling water to blanch it first. and then
Yes, for
you-
10 seconds.
for 10 seconds.
10
And
seconds.
then you took it out and put it in a bowl and then seasoned it and then put it in the oven for 5 minutes? Is that
I
what you
put it in
said?
the oven. Yes, a little salt, pepper, olive oil,
Salt,
and I
pepper,
put it
and
in the
olive
oven for 6 minutes.
for 6 minutes.
At 425 degrees.
So now you know how to wow all your friends with amazing broccoli.
That's our caramelized pear. It's nice and sugary, and it's soft on the outside and still a little firm on the inside. So basically what we're doing is we're pulling all of that natural sugar out of the pear. And pears are a good source of vitamin A, vitamin C. I actually prefer pears over apples. I think you can do more with them. Make pear chutney, pear salsa, pear pie, pear turnovers, caramelized pears. You can make a pear stuffing. So many different things you can do. All right, so I'm going on my third side. And it should be done in about another 2 minutes.
So I have a question for you, Chef Donald. Have you had to add any more oil from the time you started caramelizing, or
No, not at all. The pear really doesn't absorb the oil. The sugar actually makes a nice coating, and all the natural oil that's still in the pan, I'm gonna actually use that in my dressing. Aha, good idea, right? I didn't waste any oil today.
now by using that oil, are you going to get some pear flavor in your dressing? Is that why you do that?
I'm gonna get some pear flavor in my dressing, yes. I already turned off the fire because I'm cooking on electric heat. So the electric burner is still very hot. It's not like a traditional gas burner. Once you turn the flame off, it actually stops cooking. So, all right, so our pears are ready.
Wow, look at that.
Nice pears.
Beautiful. So Giselle, can you make a quick announcement about what you put in the chat just now?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. I just wanted to ask if you guys could fill out the survey that I added in the chat box, because we'd love to hear your feedback. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Again, it's in the chat box. This is a survey. It's a brief survey. You guys can fill it out tonight.
And you don't have to include your name unless you want to.
Okay, so what we want to do is we want to clean up this kale. So the easiest way to clean kale is just peel it. You just want to run your fingers down the kale. Just leave the stem and you have the kale. I don't like to cut my kale, I just like to pull it. Because usually when you cut it, you end up bruising it. So I just tear it apart. And then I'm gonna set it in a bowl. So again, you just take the kale, take your finger, you wanna hold it like an okay sign, and you just wanna peel and and the stem comes right out, and then you just can pull the kale apart. Nice and simple. Bite-sized pieces. You don't want big pieces of kale. You want nice bite-sized pieces. You want to taste it. You want to taste what it tastes like. It's nice and fresh. You can tell that it's fresh. It's been picked maybe a couple days ago because it's still crispy. It's still juicy. Has lots. It retains a lot of water. And then you just want to break it apart.
So Chef Donald, are there any good ideas for what to do with the stems of the kale if people don't want to waste that?
Oh, absolutely. You can juice them. You can saute them. Usually if I'm sauteing or if I'm roasting kale, I'll chop the stems up with it. And they taste so good. So you'll have the crispy stems and the nice soft leaves. Also, what I would like to do with kale is another one of my favorite recipes. I make crispy kale. So I take the same way, I strip the stems, I pull the leaves into bite-sized pieces, I dry it, I dry the leaves in a salad spinner, and I take some red pepper flakes, some shaved garlic, some olive oil, a pinch of salt, and I put it on a cookie sheet, and I bake it at 300 degrees in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. And they come out like kale chips. Oh my God, they're so good. They're so good to snack on. It's better than popcorn.
And did you have any oil in there or no? You said garlic, red pepper flakes, salt, and?
Just a touch of olive oil, a pinch of salt. I shaved the garlic very, very thin, so they also come out like chips. And it's a great snack. You can serve it right out the oven. You can put it in a baggie and have it the next day. It's a great snack. Now that the movie theaters are open, you can make it ahead of time. Put it in your pocketbook, sneak it into the movie theater, and you have your own healthy snack that you only paid, what, $2 a bunch for? You don't have to pay those movie theater prices for their popcorn, for their $10 bag of popcorn. All right, so now I already rinsed my kale several times because you want to make sure, see, kale grows out of the ground, so you want to make sure you rinse it thoroughly. Rinsed it, I spun it in my salad spinner. And now, picked kale, bite-sized pieces. Like I said, you can take the stems and you can juice them. If you're going to use the whole bunch of kale, you can chop it with the stem. You can saute it, or you can roast it, or you can stew it like collard greens. Still very, very healthy for you. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to assemble the salad, and then I want to make the dressing. So let's put all the salad in a nice bowl. So I have a nice bowl here. We're going to take our salad, our kale, our picked kale leaves, We're going to cut the florets off of our broccoli. And don't worry, guys, I'm going to chop up the stems too. The stems are actually my best part. You want your broccoli in bite-sized pieces as well. So I'm going to sprinkle that throughout the salad. Now I'm going to chop the stems. The stems are a little al dente. Al dente is to the bite. It's a little firm. So I'm going to slice them up a little bit smaller. And then I'm going to sprinkle those around as well. Most of the vitamins and minerals, the chlorophyll, everything is in the stems. That's the best part.
Yeah, and I just learned that that's true of mushrooms, that you really need to eat the stems of the mushrooms because that's where most of the nutrition of the mushroom is.
Oh, absolutely. When I used to own my soup shop, I used to make a wild mushroom soup. And I used to use 3 different types of mushrooms, and I used to use a dried porcini mushroom with the stems, and it gave it such an absolute fabulous flavor. Whenever I posted that I was making that soup, I would sell out before I reached the restaurant. That's how good that soup was. And everyone knew the nutrient value of mushrooms. It's great for the complexion. It's good for circulation. And it helps with digestion as well. So we're gonna stick our caramelized pears in there.
Wow, look at that.
You see how I'm dressing it up? We got our broccoli in there. We got our kale in there. We got our caramelized pears, which is going to add texture and sweetness. I have dried cranberries. I'm gonna mix some, sprinkle some dried cranberries on top. As much as you like. It's your preference, it's your salad. Some pepitas here. I love pepitas, oh my God. Especially toasted pepitas. These are nicely toasted. I'm gonna sprinkle that.
So did you purchase them toasted or you already toasted them yourself?
Yes, I purchased these toasted. They're good. Okay, and then I love crumbled gorgonzola cheese. So I'm gonna add just a touch on top. You can omit it if you don't like gorgonzola, or you can use Asiago or Parmesan, whichever cheese you like.
And of course, anybody who's vegan can use any of these non-dairy cheeses that are now on the market.
Exactly. So I'm just going to put a touch right in the middle. So when I mix it, I can mix it all around. Okay.
Chef Donald, there is a question about what pepitas are. Can you share with the group what they are?
Yes, pepitas are pumpkin seeds that have been dried, and sometimes they're toasted, sometimes they're roasted, sometimes they're salted. But yes, pumpkin seeds that have been dried.
And where do you find them?
You find them in any supermarket. Yeah, they're usually in the nut section, wherever you find nuts, sometimes in the baking section. All right, so that is our salad without the dressing. And now we're going to assemble the dressing. All right, so we have our sweet potato that we baked olive oil, salt in a 350-degree oven for 30 minutes. I allowed it to cool and I peeled it. You don't even have to mash it, just pull it apart. I have apple cider, I have apple juice, I have orange juice, I have lemon juice, and I have olive oil. And I'm gonna hit it with a little nutmeg and a little bit of ginger. So I'm gonna add that all to my blender now.
So Chef Donald, I'm just curious, if you didn't have a blender, is this a dressing that people could still make?
You can still make it in a bowl by hand. What I would do is I would mash up. I would take like a potato masher. I would take a potato masher and I would mash sweet potato. And then I would add all my liquids, the vinegars, the juices, the olive oil, and then just whisk it together. And it'll come out the same way. All right, so I left my lemon to juice. I'm just gonna cut that in half. I'm gonna use my handheld juicer. And I just need about a tablespoon of lemon juice.
So I just want to say while you're doing that, that I think one of the best tools ever for cooking is this lemon squeezer. It's not expensive. You can use it for oranges and for lemons, and it's just gives you so much work with your hands. For anyone with carpal tunnel syndrome or anything like that, it's just a really great tool to have.
Yeah, about 25 years ago, I had wrist surgery. I had 3-4 different incisions. I ruptured my cartilage in my wrist. Mm. So squeezing lemons is not as easy as it used to be. So yes, this is one of the greatest tools ever. All right, so I'm gonna add all my ingredients to my blender. I'm actually gonna use a small food processor because I don't have that much ingredients to put into a blender. Only because we're making a salad for like 4 to 6 people. So it really doesn't require a blender. I can make it in my small food processor. So I'm adding my sweet potatoes. I'm adding my lemon juice. I'm adding my orange juice. I'm adding my apple cider vinegar and my white wine vinegar. I'm adding my apple juice.
I have a fan calling out that they loved watching you, Rev Audrey, that she loved watching you prepare your Thanksgiving dinners at the church.
Oh, awesome. And I'm adding my olive oil.
So Chef Donald, I just want to ask you, it looks like you're using a small blender. Are there other things that people can make in that? And it seems like really wonderful to know because, you know, we're New Yorkers and we don't have a lot of space. So having a small blender and being able to do amazing things is really appealing.
Yes. Yeah, if you can see the size of my food processor, let me show you. This is a really tiny food processor. I usually use this for like making salad dressings, chopping garlic, chopping onions, making avocado salsa, tomato salsa, stuff like that. It costs $29. It doesn't take up a lot of space. loud as a blender, and it does the job. It's one of my favorite pieces of equipment.
Yeah, and you can also make pesto in that, right?
Oh, absolutely. You can make pesto. You can make tapenade. There's so many different things you can make. All right, so I'm gonna add my olive oil. Now I'm going to season it. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt and pepper. Then I'm gonna add a little bit of nutmeg, a pinch of nutmeg, and a pinch of ginger. My last recipe was a ginger. Do you guys remember the last recipe I made?
Remind us.
I made the golden milk
Oh, yes.
with the ginger and the turmeric.
Love that.
Has anyone tried that recipe since? Oh, that recipe.
I did try it after you taught it, and it was absolutely delicious. And ginger and turmeric are probably two of the most medicinal herbs in the world, right?
Absolutely. Helps with inflammation, helps with circulation. It's great for heart health. It's great for diabetes. It does it all. All right, so I'm going to turn off my mic because this may be a little too loud for the mic.
And again, if people have questions they want to put in the chat box, feel free, and I can ask Chef Donald if you want to just unmute yourself and ask your question directly. That is also great. We're not on TV here. We're just a small group, so feel free to ask any questions that you have while you have a chance to speak to this amazing professional chef. And Stella, welcome.
Thank you.
I think it needs just a touch more orange juice. So I have a fresh orange here. Just give it a little squeeze of orange, and I think we're right there.
So Chef Donald, can you talk a little bit about why it's a good idea to make your own salad dressing instead of buying salad dressing in the supermarket?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, the cost and the shelf life. You can make just enough dressing to use to last you a day, a week, and you don't have to worry about it sitting in the fridge, it expiring. You can make alterations to it. You don't have to use the same ingredients all the time. You can put your little twist on it. And like I said, the first reason is because of the cost. You can be very efficient with it. It's one of the greatest reasons why to make your own salad dressing.
Yeah.
You can add your own flavors, your own seasonings. You can add herbs to it. Speaking of herbs, I have my herb garden. I'm going to add some chives to this. I'll be right back.
Beautiful. And I'm just going to add, while he gets the herbs and the chives, that store-bought dressings have a lot of sugar in them. So we're watching Chef Donald make this really fresh dressing. It's less expensive, as he said. You can make it just for the salad that you're about to eat, so it's fresher. But the main thing really is that it doesn't have the sugars that pretty much every salad dressing on the market has. And that is one of the advantages of cooking from scratch in general. You get to control how much sugar, how much salt is in there, and it's always going to be less than what you buy in the store.
I got some chives from my herb garden. So I'm just going to give them a rough chop, and I'm going to add them to my dressing. And that's going to give it that onion, that savory flavor that it's missing. And this is what I mean by creating your own. The advantages of creating your own salad dressing. You can make it your own by changing the ingredients.
And I would add that even if you're making the same salad dressing, it's still better to make it at home, right? Even if you're not looking to be creative or you don't have an herb garden with chives, if you're just doing oil and vinegar, you know, with a little salt and pepper, it's still better to do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so we're in for the final stretch. Okay, here we go. And drizzle some dressing all the way around.
There's a question that came to me about whether you added any sweetener to the dressing.
Just the orange juice. I was supposed to add honey, but because this sweet potato was so sweet, I didn't need to. I added some orange juice, and orange juice is a better natural sweetener than honey is. And there you go.
Wow, just delicious. Beautiful. I love the orange in the dressing. It makes it so colorful with the green of the broccoli and of the kale against the orange also makes it really attractive looking.
Yes. So here is our kale and caramelized pale salad with roasted sweet potato dressing.
So beautiful.
I hope
Are there any
you
final questions that people have for Chef Donald before we wrap it up? That looks just amazing. Okay, well, thank you so much. Just to wrap up, we know that eating fruits and vegetables is the best medicine of all, and that consuming healthy, real food instead of processed food strengthens our bodies, our immune systems, and our moods. Diet is critical to preventing and even reversing many chronic diseases, including heart disease and diabetes. So let's keep learning how to make better food choices together. Let's do this for yourself, for your family, and for the planet. It is not out of reach, as we saw tonight, and we can do it together in community. So keep cooking, keep eating real food, stay healthy. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your summer. Chef Donald, thank you so much, and best of luck at Juilliard, wow, where you're gonna be the executive chef of so many artists and musicians. We're really so lucky to have you here at Bronx Eats. And all the best to everybody. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely, it's my honor.
And please fill out the survey if you didn't. Take good care of yourselves. And Esther, thanks for lending us your son. We are really grateful to have you back. And I hope we get to see you all again soon.
Okay.
Have a great night. Enjoy.
Have a great night. Thank you, everyone.
Good night. Thank you, everyone.